Yeah, two big wins. Two big wins coming out of that previous weekend, and just nice for us to play two solid back-to-back games and against a good opponent and come away with two big wins in the NCHC. So gives ourselves a chance to keep kind of building some momentum here in the second half. And obviously a big weekend coming up here with St. Cloud that we're focusing on now, and we just got to keep rolling here.
When you get to a point like this where you're limited number of games left and everyone starts looking at pictures, whether it's standings in the league or where you sit in the pairwise and things like that, does that kind of add an extra carrot to dangle in front of the guys, when now you're talking about a shorter season and there are tangible things that are on the table now?
I think so. I think the guys probably know more about it than I do with the pairwise and the standings and where we're at and all that stuff. So I think they're pretty on top of that stuff. So they know. I don't talk about it ever really with the guys. We know every game is a big game, and in this league you got to find ways to win that Friday night. That's our next focus, and we're going to go out to Tranquility today to get used to Olympic-size ice, and we're going to take off tomorrow for St. Cloud. So again, just trying to get the guys used to it, give ourselves any advantage we can to play on that big ice against a team that moves well. And so the guys know the importance of the ability to find a way to get some wins here down the stretch, and know how tight it is. So teams, just every time you do look at the standings, it seems like teams are just trading punches. When we think one team's hot, and all of a sudden, you got a team like, I think Duluth was in 8th place at one point this year, and now they're on a 5-game, or they had 5 wins in a row there, I think. And so, again, you got to be ready to go. You got to be ready to go in this conference.
When you look back at that first series against St. Cloud, I know it was a while ago, and both teams have kind of gone through a transition since then. What do you remember from that? What have you kind of talked to the guys about taking from that, moving forward from what you learned the first time around?
We, just looking back at the video, we had a meeting yesterday. We'll have another one today. I actually didn't mind our games against St. Cloud. I think if we outshot them both nights here, I thought, and it was kind of a high-scoring affair a little bit there, I think, on their part. So we got to clean up a few things there. But again, they have very, very mobile defensemen. They got 4 lines that can score. They kind of just, I don't think they have a top 3 lines. They just have 3 4, if not 4 very good lines. So they can just keep coming at you in waves. So you have to be very effective defending. You have to track extremely well. You got to get back to pucks. You got to finish their defensemen off. I think they're probably one of the most mobile decors and offensive decors probably in the NCHC this year. So you have to make sure you're really on the right side of their bodies, coming back to your own end, and not letting them be the 4th guy in the attacker, and taking away their time and space, and making sure you're not puck focused against these guys. So it's really really important that we have all those good habits, and we'll work on that this week in practice and get ready to go.
Well, we've talked a lot this season just about the depth that you've been able to build throughout the season. Do you feel like you're better prepared for a deep team like that now than what you were then, just because the guys have more experience and have been through more situations at this point?
I think so. I think if you look at our game now too, guys are starting to make reads and react a little bit more than I would say they did in the first half. You have systems in place where you have, hey, if they do this, we want to try to do this. If they're doing this, we want to try to do this. But in hockey, as you know, it's so fast and it's so reactive that you can't have a play for every situation that happens. And I find now, sometimes you want to keep the puck going and rim it. Sometimes you want to bring 5 guys back to the puck. Sometimes you want a net bump. Sometimes you want a wall bump. Sometimes you want to have 2 guys down low. Sometimes you want to have 3 guys down low. And it happens so fast out there. But now you're seeing sometimes our D-men absorb F1, make the right read, pop middle. Now you're seeing other times they're going to rim the puck to release pressure. But then they're not throwing it away when it's not there. And I thought we did that extremely well against Western Michigan. We broke the puck out well. Our gaps were tight, didn't let them gain a lot of entry zones with extended defensive zone time like you saw in the first half of the season, which usually doesn't end well. So it's nice to see the guys progressing, to more where they're making the reads and react out there, and they kind of have some predictability where they're going to be and what they have to be there. So now it's about getting consistently doing that and keeping the same high compete level while doing that, and execution level. So it's nice, when you teach somebody something. I think the ability to understand when they're learning is for them to be able to do it in changing situations, So that's why we talk about habits and concepts, because when you teach with habits and concepts, then they can really apply it to different situations. And then the true art of learning is when you can apply it in pressure situations, and then you've probably learned something. So if you can apply it in different situations, and then when there's pressure involved, then you probably actually understand the grasp of the concept or the habit or the system. So it's nice to see guys. We kind of did video yesterday, and I kind of even said to the guys, hey, like in the first half, our guy would not be standing here, and he's standing there now. And it's a bit of a shot at the guy, but it's also a bit of positive reinforcement that you're learning to do it. And when you stand there, we're breaking up the puck, and now we're getting an offensive chance off of it. So those are kind of fun things for the guys to see too, I think, that they're kind of learning how to do that. So anyways, that's a long answer. Yeah.
With that, the progression that you made, and obviously the team seemed to rebound from Denver just fine emotionally this past weekend, but also, I played better hockey here as of late here in the second half. Do you like the fact that this seems to be building? I mean, this is what every team wants to do, build towards the end of the season, but the guys in this roster haven't always felt that way, here in the past. I guess, do you feel like the trajectory is going the right way as you get ready for the stretch run?
I think so. I think it's one day at a time still, one day at a time. And like we talked about on Saturday, we didn't, even back to Denver, we didn't come away with the win. We need to do some things better, but I thought we took a couple of steps forward in the process. Even though the results weren't there, I thought the process, we took a couple of steps forward in by making some systematic adjustments, by playing harder, skating better. So again, you got to keep coming back to that stuff because especially in this league, the results aren't always going to be there for you. You can play a heck of a game, and there's teams that can just play better than you in this conference, and then vice versa. There's in this conference you can not play good and you're not going to win anyway. So you have to still be focused on that one step at a time and not look too far ahead because you'll get I think you'll get in trouble if you start doing that and don't focus all your energy on the task at hand. So we're still, hey, flashlight right at our feet, one step at a time here. Let's get better at practice today. Let's make sure we're making let's do our homework. Let's prepare ourselves. Let's mentally prepare ourselves. Let's physically prepare ourselves, and then see what happens in the game. So, but it is nice to see our guys, gaining some confidence and to string together some wins here in the second half. And again, the best thing I think, and it's not always there, but when it is there, it's nice, is when they have that positive reinforcement of seeing themselves do the right thing and how that pays off. I mean, we showed 4 clips yesterday of solid defense and tracking, transitions into offense and scoring. And so when you can show that stuff, they see themselves doing it, they understand what you're talking about. And the neat thing as a coach, too, on the bench once in a while is you hear them start talking about it a little bit, too. And that's when you really got some buy-in, is when the players are saying, hey, we got to finish our tracks. Hey, we got to be tougher there. Hey, they're starting to sound like you a little bit and your coaching staff. And I think that's when they're grasping how important some of these concepts and habits and systems are. So to me, that's a really promising sign from the players.
Yeah. Is that something that you've seen more recently? I mean, is it I guess it's just been a season-long process to get them to that point, I guess? Yeah,
I think so. I think it takes a long time, and it's not even close to being over. There's still so much we got to get better at and keep improving on, both as a staff and as players and as a team. But it is nice to see that progression where, maybe early in the year you were reminding a guy, and now it's starting to click a little bit. And then the best thing is now they're starting to remind each other a little bit too, and that's really effective for building a team culture, in my opinion. And so it's a process. You got to keep on them, and just like anything, good habits are tough to do consistently, and being good is tough to do consistently. And so we got to keep on them, and they got to keep on themselves. And the most important thing, in which we're having a lot of our guys do, is take personal responsibility to do it themselves. And now you're getting something special when those guys start to do that, and you're seeing it in players like I talked about on Friday after the game, Joel Mesner and Tyler Vessel and David Pope, that are learning how to practice, how to act on a daily basis, and they're getting rewarded with their play.
Where are you at health-wise going into this, and knowing that you have the off week, the week after that? I guess there's a chance to get some guys back maybe.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like you're at this point?
It's kind of nice knowing you got that bye coming up. We were contemplating maybe, because you can kind of still push a little bit this week, knowing that you got a week to rest up a little bit, and guys that are banged up a little bit, hey, let's suck it up for another week here. Then you'll get a couple days off during the bye week. So it's nice timing. Guys obviously are never healthy, 100% healthy at this time of year, and you got guys playing with injuries and fatigue and all that stuff. But our guys are doing a great job of not complaining about it and being mentally and physically tough, and just know they got 2 more games to get through. Then they can get a couple days off during the week next week to hopefully rehab and get them ready for the last few games of the season.
That was pretty impressive sweep last weekend. Does that signal to you in your mind that maybe these guys are starting to peak right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just always cautious, both with getting swept and also sweeping. That, don't. I'm not doing cartwheels in the locker room after a sweep, and I'm not also saying we suck after getting swept again. So it's, I think it's in college hockey. It's so few games, and so it can be the difference between goalie making a couple big saves, or a key player scoring a nice goal, or a couple bad calls where you're shorthanded, or you got the power play. So there's so much that goes into wins and losses at the college level that I think you got to be careful to be grounded a little bit, and as the leader or whatever, the head coach, just to have some emotional control, not get too high, not to get too low. But it's definitely, the guys are excited. When you get a big sweep against a top team like Western Michigan, and they're a good hockey team, and they get excited about there, and it's nice because you get to. They often say it's easy to critique a little bit. Like, we still had some areas of growth video on Monday. Like, hey, here's where we got to get better. These are some attention to details we have to improve on in order for us to have a chance at some of these top teams. So you're able to teach that, and that's a little bit easier when you've had some success, because the guys are already feeling good. So you can coach a little bit more, you can teach a little bit more, they can handle that a little bit more. Their confidence is still fine. So it's a nice opportunity when you have a sweep to be able to kind of keep on the focus on the attention to detail stuff we have to improve on, and also positive reinforce what they're doing so well that's allowing us to have a couple of wins. So I guess, and we're happy for the sweep. Yeah.
The season is extremely long, and over the past we've had some struggles toward the end. Is it a physical, mental fatigue, or the fact you're playing really, really good competition, or a combination of that?
Yeah, probably a combination of all that. You're playing such good opponents where there's no guarantee you're going to get a win. Unless you play extremely well, and then, like you said, it's a long season, so it's physically taxing and mentally taxing on the guys. But hey, it's the same for everybody. So you got to figure out a way to take care of your body. We got to be dialed in with our strength and conditioning aspect of things, our nutrition aspect of things, our rest to work ratio aspect of things. You got to be working at that stuff. You got to have meetings about that. You got to know what's going on. You got to talk to your players. You got to get their feedback. You got to get your staff's feedback, and sometimes it's the little things of, those are sometimes the little differences that maybe give you an extra 5% in your legs for a given night. That's a difference between keeping in a game or winning a game. So we're trying to make sure we dial all that stuff in here down the stretch, and travel as best as our budget allows us to travel, and set the guys up for as much success as we possibly can.